What's up?
Hey man, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. How are you?
I'm doing well. Sorry, I don't have all the fancy gear you do, so we're just
No, I ain't got. I shoot. I just record this thing on Zoom. Like we had a bigger deal for our. We did the Trussville Mayor Forum thing a couple
yeah.
weeks ago. Now that one they had equipment and stuff I had never seen before. But I just sit here on Zoom and try try my best.
That's kind of where we are with this show. This thing has snowballed into more equipment than I ever thought I would need, and
It's
streaming, and I'm just a dumb old football coach. I don't know how to do all this stuff. So it's just thank goodness the right people have helped out at the right time. We're going to do our final run through tonight, and there's about a 20% chance it's something's going to go wrong. That's just how it goes. So we'll
that
we'll play
is.
it by ear.
That's what I told everybody when I started this one. I was doing an in person kind of podcast show thing, and it got to be just too much trying to go to all the locations, and it really became. There was a trip I did on a Saturday and did an episode at Thompson High School, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not making this drive. I'm just not going to do this anymore. So I moved it to doing a Zoom thing, which is good because it's easier to schedule.
Yeah.
You can get more availability, all that kind of stuff. But most everybody left Zoom behind in 2020, 2021 after COVID, and I was like, you know what? I think I'll start it now. So it's it's a little behind the times, I guess, but it works well for what I'm trying to do anyway.
Well, I'm more old school anyway, so yeah, I'm okay with doing things that way. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah, same here. It's like I I've written a bunch of stuff that would go newspapers and stuff like that, and this is such a way that's like kind of shows how the sausage is made, and but at the end of it, like I don't have to write anything. I just put this
yeah,
out there, and
yeah.
it's like people consume that probably more so now, something video based podcast, that kind of deal. And
Oh yeah.
I don't have to sit here and transcribe and write it. I just put out the conversation.
Well, it's we definitely read less. Probably when we're
Yeah.
growing up. I'm 55, so I grew up even before VHS had hit in the 70s, where your only information is to see it on TV, read it in an Encyclopedia Britannica or some type of world book, or your teacher told you. That's how
Yeah.
you learned. And now everything is just so available instantly. Just being a teacher over 30 years, I saw how teaching changed. I went from a teacher to a guider of information because we no longer presented the information. We showed you how to get the information. So yeah, same thing now with what we do. It's all video, it's all visual. It's just a lot has changed, and then I guess that's how it is. That's the world we live in. Our parents went from, I tell my kids all the time, my mother didn't have electricity till she was 14.
Oh wow.
She grew up on the mountain in North Alabama, and the summer she turned 14, they got indoor plumbing and electricity, and she thought she had died and gone to heaven. That it just
Yeah.
couldn't get any better than that. And still no
Wow.
TV. Had the old radio they listened
Sure.
to every night, and so to just to see in one generation where we are now that we're doing this, it's just crazy. So,
It is
but that's the world
crazy.
we live in.
It is. That's crazy. So tell me, I've got it pulled up on this other screen. I've got y'all's Instagram page up, but tell me about Dixie Sports Plus. Where'd it come from? How'd the idea come about?
Well, I've been a teacher for 30 years and a coach, and so I've been around sports, and I'm one of those, I guess, teachers. I counted it up. Taught 13 different subjects through my career, from seventh grade,
Wow.
eighth grade, biology, chemistry, physics, biomed, environmental science. I've taught a bunch of different classes, and same thing coaching. I didn't realize that I have coached almost 9 sports, been a head coach of 3 of them. So I've done a lot of things. Apparently, I'm not real good at any of them because if you're kind of spread out in a bunch of ways, I'm not really great at any class or coaching. But it's just sports have been in my life. I started playing when I was 6 or 7: football, basketball, baseball in high school. Ran track also. Went to Sanford and played football and played some baseball. And so I've just been around sports my whole life. It's just been part of my life. And as I got through the end of my career in teaching, I'm like, I looked and saw that my retirement wasn't going to get any more, that I'd pretty much maxed out on my state retirement. So do I want to stay and teach and, or do I want to retire, do a couple of other things while I'm 53, 54 years old and kind of get on the other side of teaching and coaching? Well, I got out of the classroom, I stayed in coaching, and kind of as I was sitting around the house that first year, I realized how bored I was. By 9 o'clock in the morning, I got to go chop a tree down. I got to go fix
Yeah.
the deck. I need to shingle the roof. I just couldn't sit still. It was, you're built in to be at school by 7, and you do your 5, 6
Yeah.
classes, and then you go to practice, and then you come home, and it's time to eat, and then you may have a little time with your family, and then you go to bed and you start all over again. And so to have free time was awful. I absolutely hated it. And I did have a little part-time job when I quit teaching, but it's just only 2 days a week at the Alabama I Bank. So I'm sitting here thinking, what else am I going to do? And so me and a girl that I graduated high school with, she's been in radio as soon as she got out of high school. We both graduated in 1987. So she got me involved with a radio station out of Pell City to do Friday night football games with St. Clair County and Springville and then Pell City. So it kind of got me into the radio visual portion of it because it was a live video, and I got to meet some great people. The first year I worked with Mike Rada,
Yeah.
who's a great sportscaster in the Birmingham
Yeah.
area, and then next year Matt Coulter. So I kind of got to see how video production is done, audio production is done, radio, Facebook, YouTube, and I'm old school. Again, I used my phone to text when my kids taught me how to read email. That was great. And make phone calls. I'm just an old school, guy, and all I've ever had is Facebook, and then I could see, wow, all this potential to get out there. So several years ago, I got to thinking about, do I want to start my own sports show? I didn't think I was good enough. I still don't really think I'm good enough to even be doing what I'm doing, but it's just kind of a bucket list. I'm retired. What else you want to do?
Yeah.
So I want to do a sports show. So I'm thinking, how do I do this? What do I do? Do I just report news like everybody else? So it's been through the thing. I've been through kind of my brain for a couple of years. And the girl I started doing, I went to class with, she's working in radio. And she's like, well, why don't me and you start a radio show? So last October, her and I started Piper Peach Network down in Clanton. And it was just a morning show called Morning Mayhem, and it's on Piper Peach Network, and it's got an app. It's just Facebook. And so I got to see kind of the live production from that,
Okay.
because it's Piper Peach Radio, but it's not radio. It's not FM anything. We think radio, we think, 106.9 and AM
Yeah.
690, whatever it is. It's not radio. It's just broadcasting through YouTube and all that. So as we're piddling around with that show, and I'm going to Clanton 3 days a week, it's an hour drive down there, and I'm like, I want to do my thing my way. So I'm thinking, okay, sports show. I'm a Southerner. I think I know a lot. I really don't when it comes to sports. I know a little of everything because I've been a football coach, basketball coach, baseball coach, lacrosse, track. I've done a bunch. I've got this great general knowledge of sports. And there's a lot of guys out there like me that we may have our favorite thing. I'm a college football guy. I love college football, but I can do and understand all the sports. I want to know who wins the NBA championship. I don't care who starts for the Celtics. I'm not into it that much. Same thing for baseball. Coached baseball for years, been a head baseball coach, and I used to know everybody in the league. But as you get older and you get a job and you got all these other things to do, I want to know who wins. So I came up with an idea to just kind of do a top of the iceberg kind of sports show where we're not going to get into great detail. And I love all the sports shows. They're professional. They're wonderful. But about 6 months ago, I was listening to a radio show in the morning, and they talked about Tennessee's backup quarterback for an hour. And I'm just sorry. I got just buzzed out on that. I'm like, and
Yeah.
in the next show, talked about Arkansas's defense for an hour and a half. And I'm like, I don't want to sit and listen to
Yeah.
that anymore. So I came up with an idea of doing just a show where we talk about 3 or 4 minutes and we move to the next thing. We 3 or 4 minutes, and there's a couple of shows out there on ESPN where they got a timer that goes off.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the show, but kind of in that realm, but also kind of a Rick and Bubba kind of feel of just a homegrown guy sitting in front of a camera and a microphone talking sports to his buddies like we would,
Yeah.
at the office or, at the game on Friday night talking about all their stuff. So I was thinking, okay, what do I name it? I'm a Southerner. I'm here, born in Birmingham, lived my whole life right here in Birmingham, Alabama. So somehow just, Dixie, Southern Dixie Sports Plus. And so the whole deal and our little motto is, a Southerner's guide to all things sports plus other conversations. I threw that in there because it's my show. And if I want to talk a little bit about something
Yeah.
else, might be sports related, it might not. That's the plus portion of the show. So it's an idea. I was just going to film this thing on my phone in my basement or maybe my laptop. It was just going to be me. Well, my
Yeah.
sons, I have three sons and a son-in-law, and they're all like, "Well, we want to help." Well, one of my sons is big in NFL, another one's in NBA.
Okay.
Another one does a lot of online betting. He's kind of got into that realm with DraftKings and
Yeah.
all that. And then my son-in-law is from New Jersey, and he's a big hockey fan. So I'm like, well, you know what? We're going to do a multi-sports show every week, and I'm going to put you guys in it. It's a family affair. Well, the thing
Yeah.
started growing, and now I got a golf, and now I got NASCAR, and my best friend, coaching friend, is a fantasy football nut. So that's going to be part of the show. We got a little 3-minute section. So we got football, basketball, baseball, hockey, golf, NASCAR, fantasy football, and bets of the week. My son's going to kind of come in and say, hey, here's 3 or 4, gimmies. Here's how you do it. Here's how you bet responsibly. Here's how you
Yeah.
bet, modestly, and don't get yourself in trouble. So it's just kind of grown into this monster. And then I'm like, I can't do this by myself. I got to have a partner. So I bumped into Alan Kinnemer, who's a good friend of
Yeah.
mine and lives in the Trussville area. He's like, I'm in, man. Let's do it together. So, all right. So then we got to figure out, okay, I can't do it with my phone in my basement anymore. Now I need a camera. Oh, now I need a roadcaster. Oh, yeah. Now I need an ATEM machine. Now, now we got to have a place. So I think we're ready. We'll find out tomorrow at 4 p.m. This may be a complete disaster, but it's my disaster. I'm going to own it. And if it works out, great. So there's a very long story to a short question.
No, that's fun though. Like, and like you're right with what I'm doing is much more obviously long form, like in terms of a podcast, it's a long
Yeah.
conversation kind of thing. But like you mentioned the shows on ESPN, you're probably talking about Pardon the Interruption,
Yep.
around the horn. Like I mean that was when I was in school at Hewitt-Trussville, because I was the same way. It's like I didn't play a ton of school sponsored sports when I was at Hewitt. Like I was on the golf team, but
Yeah.
I mean, a Christmas gift every year was that ESPN Sports Almanac, and I had that thing by God memorized. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, I did, and it's like every day after school, you get home, and it's like I think it was like around the horns on at 3:30, PTI's on at 4, and
Yep.
that it's non-negotiable. That's what I'm doing, and these days, especially when people do want things kind of instantaneous, quick clips, that kind of thing,
Yep.
something like that bounces from, hey, NFL for 3 minutes, NBA for 3 minutes, that kind of thing. That's gonna appeal to people because it's you're
Mhm.
kind of in and out. You get what you want, and you move to the next. So it's a
Yeah.
cool concept.
Well, it just kind of popped into my head. So, each show is a 9 inning show. We have 9 innings, and each inning's about 5 to 10 minutes at the most. We don't want this to drag on forever because we're trying to defeat our purpose of a hit and run kind of show. So, Alan and I will talk about the major things, mostly this fall, Alabama Auburn football, some SEC talk, and then we'll go to a report. So, the top half of the first inning is going to be us talking, introducing the show. And then the bottom half is the Stephen Curlee NFL report. And he's filmed it. He lives up in Nashville. So these are, they'll film them on Wednesday, send it in. We'll put it into the show. Then we'll go into the second inning. And then we'll talk about some other stuff. And then we've got the second inning, Jaggard Moore NBA report. And, the third inning. And we're going to change it up a little bit. We'll talk about the hot topics, probably first, second, third inning. And then we're going to get into trivia. And then we're going to get into our top 5 of the week. And now we may randomly, what's the top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC this year? Top 5 schools, top time top 5 greatest NFL coaches. So we're going to kind of go a little bit that way, and then some trivia. And then we've got guest callers tomorrow. We have Rick Burgess, who's going to call in about 4:45, and we got several set up through the year. Some ex-players and Alabama and Auburn players I've got set up for the next couple of weeks. Rick Carley is going to be coming in. If you know Rick, he's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. So trying to have just a phone call interview, 3-minute phone call. Again, hit, move, and then roll, and then we'll talk about other things. Oh, I also added this week, threw it in at the last minute, was the local high school football report. Since I'm coaching at Springville now, I was at Hewitt forever, and I retired Wednesday, July 8th, completely from coaching. And then I think it was Friday, July 10th, the Springville coach called me and asked me to coach football. So I was retired for 2 days and got right back in it. And so I'm coaching football at Springville. So one of our seniors there is going to do a local high school report, the big games in the local central Alabama area. So that'll be just a little 3-minute thing. So it's just we're going to be very fluid with this. We're going to see how this show goes. I want it to be so that everybody knows that about 4:15 every day, you're getting your NFL report. And at about 4:25, you're getting your NBA report. And at 4:35, you're getting your Major League Baseball report. Eric McGuire is going to be doing our baseball. He's a coach at Hewitt Middle School, good longtime friend of mine, and big Cubs fan. So he's good at being disappointed, and an Auburn fan, so he's even better at it. And so I've got some good personalities, I hope, that will come in and just be a different face, just a constant kind of moving. You're right, we're kind of in a society now where it's quick microwave sports and we move. And that's going to be the idea. We'll see if it works. And at 9 innings, we'll shut the show down and go home and come back the next week. So it just kind of adapted into a hit and miss kind of show, 9 innings, because we're going to kind of tie that into baseball. I thought about a 4-quarter show, but then I don't. We'll see. A year from now, cool. If we're even on and running, we may be completely different. So I'm going to learn like Nick Saban. I'm going to roll with the flow of what's happening and adapt and see what happens. And we may stick with this, format for a long time, and we'll be open to change, and we'll see what how the ratings go. We're going to try to go live on 4 platforms at one time. It's hard to do. It's a lot harder to do than I thought, because we're going to try to be Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok all at the same time. Well, I didn't realize all the streaming devices you have to have for that. And you have to, I got to pay once a month for all this. I had no idea how much this was going to cost. Yeah. Again, it was going to start with me and my phone in the basement, filming myself. And now we've got 14 people on our team. We've got advertisers. I'm trying to get a few more advertisers. Of course, we got people that are buying an inning. And so, that's kind of the idea, to help support all of us. I got to pay myself back about $1,200 for all the equipment, but maybe by Christmas I'll break even. So, but the point is just to have. No,
I was just going to say the consistency is key. Like you breaking it down so much into conditioning people to hey, MLB is at this time, so they tune in. You have to build that consistency and almost not even in a way, not even worry about the money aspect for a long time, because it takes that consistency. I've finally gotten to a point where now I took the last couple weeks off of this podcast. I put it out every Monday, and people have gotten conditioned to that. But when we did the Trussville Mayor Forum, we put that out on a Wednesday. It was based on scheduling. Trussville politics this year, just good God. So it didn't matter if I put it out Monday or not. That was going to do work. And so after that one, I've just been clipping and stuff. You're the first episode I've done since I did that, because I haven't banked any episodes or anything, because I was just like, I'm hitting pause for a minute. But point is, as you get, you keep building and building that consistency, early on, even if, and I'm not saying this is going to happen or anything, but it's like week to week, 1 week you might have X number of viewers, and the next week it goes down, and next week it goes back up. It's almost like you can't even really focus on it. You just have to keep banking episodes and building that consistency, and then your audience will be there in time for sure.
Well, I hope so. And it's like I said, it's more of a bucket list for Jamey Curlee that I'm going to check off. And if it works out great, all of us are doing it for free right now. Nobody's making a penny. The girl that's helped me with the radio station, she's coming up to help produce it. She's going to run the board and all that. So I'm going to try to pay her gas money because she's coming
Yeah,
up from Calera. I'm like, I can give you gas money once a month. That's all I got right now. And she's totally cool with that. And she's going to try to end up kind of doing something on for her down the road, and Dixie Sports Plus may roll into that. We'll see. We're like I said,
yeah,
me and Alan are just having a good time. He's in real
yeah,
estate. That's why we're
yeah.
doing one show a week on Thursdays. We're not going to occupy too much of our time. The
Sure,
boys can send in their video anytime during the week they want to. So but my son-in-law lives in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then my oldest son lives outside of Knoxville, and then my youngest son lives in Nashville, and then my stepson is here at Sanford, and he's busy. So all these videos are coming in from around the southeast, and like I said, we'll see if it works. We'll see if we get enough people. The good thing is if you incorporate 10 people into your show, they've
yeah.
all got their fan base.
Hmm.
They've got their Instagram people and their TikTok
Oh
people that
yeah,
they're saying, hey, I'm going to be on a show. And so it's kind of a shotgun effect. We'll see,
yeah.
where the buckshot lands. And if people hate the NASCAR, we may cut it in 3 or 4 weeks. But that's just, I'm trying to reach guys like me that want to know a
Yeah,
little bit about everything, but I don't have time to know everything about everything. So that's the point, is kind of hit just the top 10% of what's going on in that sport for this moment this week, and then move on, so that when somebody says, oh yeah, did you see what happened in the hockey game the other night? I don't care about hockey, but it's cool to know who's the best. It's cool to know that
yeah.
Joe Kowalski scored 6 goals the other night, whatever his name is. They all got names about this long. So
Yeah.
I want to know if something huge has happened. And I want to know, okay, just because I'm a sports fan, who did win the Stanley Cup last year? Just in case I'm asked, I act like I'm a know-it-all. Oh yeah, that was the Philadelphia Flyers or whoever it is. So
Yeah.
that's the point. Is we're just trying to have a good time with it and see if there's some other Gen X guys like me that'll pay attention and watch the show. And with our advertisers, if I can get them just a little business each month, that's a win-win for everybody. And if they're all seem to be great. They're like, don't worry about it. We just want to help the show. And
Yeah.
so again, I know nothing about all this. The show will probably be absolutely awful, but me and Alan are going to have a great time being awful. I tell you that.
Well, and the fun part is yes, people want, obviously, like Sports Center in particular is not what it was when I was in school.
No, it's
Like
not.
and there's something to uh the authenticity of, like, regardless of what content you put out or how much content you put out, a lot of people come back simply because they know you. You know,
Yeah.
even if there's a topic that they necessarily don't care much about, they're coming back for you or for
Hmm.
Alan, or because they know you. So the support's there, regardless of the content. In some ways, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's why, as I thought about this, if it's just me, I've got like 12 fans. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot, but Alan, I may have 12. Alan may have 100, and my son Jagger, who's on the track team at Sanford, he's got the track team and his friends at Sanford, and then my son-in-law's got his family up in New Jersey, and so it may be one of those things that you're right. They're not really caring about Dixie Sports Plus. They want to see their kid on a show with a couple of hundred viewers, or maybe a thousand. It'd be fantastic if we get 1,000. We'll see. I just don't know. But
yeah,
and again, the point was to give my sons a little bit of glory. I've been in the limelight my whole life. I've stood on the sideline and on stages, and had some state championships, and I've had a fantastic, wonderful career and can't complain about it all. But the fact to put your kids on a podium and let them see them shine a little bit, and all of them have flirted with podcasts and video stuff, and just gives them a chance. They're 3 or 4 minutes of fame, because each report's like 3 or 4 minutes. I told them all. I said, I don't want to be more than 4 minutes. We're
yeah.
rolling with it. And my son sent me a text last night. He goes, Dad, I've done this 12 times. I can't get it below 7 minutes. Figure it out, buddy. Cut
Figure it
what you
out.
got to cut. I said, so he
Yeah,
finally sent one in, and it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And I said, okay, we'll deal with it this
we'll
week.
do that.
But next
Yeah.
week, cut it down. And so they're having a good time with it. I hope it's a little stressful,
Yeah.
but it's fun, stressful for them. And
Yes.
I feel bad for Therese, our producer, because she's trying to organize all this and get the videos lined up in the right order. Because last thing we want to do is here's our NBA report, and then here's NASCAR coming on. So
Right.
there will be some problems. I'm telling anybody that
There,
watches the show, just be ready. There will be some hiccups and some bumps. It'll take us a few shows to iron those wrinkles out, but we'll get it.
yeah. Well, that stuff's going to happen. Like when I did, before I did this podcast that I was telling you about, like on Zoom, when I was going to different places, the first one that I filmed, now I had microphones and all that, but I
Mm.
was using my phone. Now I was recording on like a cinematic mode, so it looked really good.
Yeah,
The audio was pretty good. But it was with Adam Mosley at Hoover High School, the baseball
yeah,
coach over at Hoover.
yeah, yeah.
And we were gonna set up at the baseball field. We were doing it on my truck tailgate. So the show was just people sitting on the tailgate, and
Yeah.
I called the show the tailgate, but I spelled it TALE, slow like stories. So that was kind of
I
the
got it.
fun in it.
Tailgate. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
So, and it was fun, but it got to be just too much with the back and forth and travel and all that different stuff. And so we go to film that one. Very first one I did, it was like February, but it wasn't overly cold or
Yeah.
anything. It was fine. But I'm setting up. I'm kind of nervous. I'm trying to figure out what all do I need to put where, and drop my phone in the Hoover High School parking lot, and like the little screen protector thing here completely shattered. And so
Great.
Adam's sitting there, and he just kind of deadpans. He's like, "Are we gonna be able to do this or not?" And I was just like, I was sitting there just fumbling it, and somehow we were able to record it. And my phone, I mean, I had to replace everything around my phone, but I thought I've broken this thing before we've even started,
That's
and that was day one.
yeah.
So yeah, hiccups are going to happen, but that's part of the
They are.
fun. Is I like the authenticity and the raw kind of feel of stuff
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
don't like the overly produced, get everything perfect. I think it lends to personality of whatever you're doing, a show, a podcast,
Mhm.
whatever. I think it helps with people. I think people like that.
Well, that was kind of this. I've had a bunch of folks say, "Why don't you just film it and put it on and record it later?" And I'm like, I'm an unscripted kind of guy. I'm as terribly transparent as you can be. And I'm like, no, I want the live, raw. This is happening. This mistake just happened, and we're going to laugh and giggle through it. I might get upset, but that's okay. So I wanted a live show, and then if people can't watch it, it'll upload instantly to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and they can watch it later if they need to. But yeah, I like the idea of just the raw, real, on the spot. Here we go. We're going to be live at Steel Hall Brewery. That's where we're going to do the show.
Okay.
So anybody wants to come down to Steel Hall there in Trussville, he's adding a whole lot of new stuff to the facility down there. We're going to call it the Steel Hall facility. He's adding in some golf simulators, a restaurant that's going to be going through there. A hot chicken place is coming in February. So he's trying to add to the place. We're coming in to do a show there. So Steel Hall Brewery, Thursdays 4
Okay.
till 5:30. Whenever we finish, there's no finish. We finish when the ninth inning's over. Some baseball games go
That's right.
fast. We may do a 10-run rule and be done in 5 innings sometimes, and we may go extra innings and play that thing out. So we're not putting an end timing. I don't really want to go past 5:30, but hey, we may get down a rabbit hole. That's why I've told my producer. I said, look, when we get over 3 or 4 minutes, give us this.
Yeah.
Because I'll get to, you can tell I can yap longer than anybody and talk about absolutely nothing for 15 minutes. So that's the point. We're trying not to do that. Again, I'm trying to not be a cookie cutter sports show and just do something different, something that I would want to watch and be a part of.
Yeah.
And same thing for all of our sponsors. All of our sponsors have done stuff for me. They're
Yeah.
people I call if I have an electrical need, if I need concrete poured, if I've got whatever our
Sure.
sponsors are. These are people I know. These are my friends that are part of the show, and same thing for them. I want them to be recognized, and so it's really kind of a huge. We call it the DSP family, Dixie Sports Plus family, and with our all of our producers and shows and advertisers, there's about 20 of us already. So it's grown. It's grown from me and my phone in the basement to 20 plus people excited about tomorrow, and hopefully it'll go well. Like I said, we're just in it for the fun, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off, because if it just bombs and doesn't do well, all right. I'm not expecting to be on ESPN, come January with this show. So we're just going to have a good time with it. And as long as we can keep our head above water and I don't lose a ton of money on it, we're
Yeah,
going to do it until I don't
that's
want to
right.
do it.
That's right. I wanted to go back to something you said a minute ago that I think is cool. Like, I didn't realize you were helping out at Springville now, but you mentioned like the opportunity then is there with something like this for these students that
Mhm.
if they want to go into a broadcast or that kind of media beyond high school, beyond college, if they go to college, they can do this kind of stuff and get actual experience that is invaluable.
Oh, definitely. Hewitt-Trussville has a broadcasting class now, and so does Springville.
Yeah.
They actually have some rooms that they've taken and put in some cameras and audio, teaching the kids how to do the production side of it. Of course, the face people that are in front of the camera. The young man that's doing our high school football report, Brady Caldwell, he's a senior at Springville, and he's on their newscast team that does the announcements in the day, and
Yeah.
and all that. So it does. You're right. It gives them that chance. And these kids, I saw some interview the other day. It was with high school kids across America. Something like 60% of high school kids, when they're asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" With us, it was an astronaut, a football player, a
Yeah.
policeman, a lawyer. 60% of high school kids said, "Oh, I just want to be an influencer. I just want to be a video influencer." And I'm like, that blows my mind, because that's
Yeah.
great. And there's so many opportunities, but it's absolutely no different from me when I played, that I wanted to be a shortstop for the Yankees. Well, that's great. But so does 20 million other kids your age want to be the shortstop for the Yankees. So to be a shortstop for the Yankees, you got to be the best in the world at what you do. And that's what these kids need to realize, is that all of us, my age, grew up wanting to be a professional athlete. Well, that's 0.0001% make it to that level. And it's going to be the same thing with this, because the video world now is so just saturated with online TikToks and to be great, you really do have to be 1 in 10 million to make money at it, to be
Oh yeah.
an influencer that's going to get a bankroll out of it. And these kids better realize that's a great plan A, but you better have plan B. Just like me, I didn't make it to the NFL. I didn't make it to the NBA and, Major League Baseball. So, I guess I better be a teacher. So,
Right.
they better get the academic side of life figured out, or at least the skills side of life, because everybody wants to be a millionaire on TV and podcasters, but only 1 in 1 million get it. So the other 99.99% better figure out, I got to do something else, because it ain't going to pay. I can be on TV all day. You can broadcast your stuff all day, but it isn't going to be financially beneficial unless you're the best of the best.
That's exactly right. When was it? When did you retire from Hewitt-Trussville?
2022, I officially
22.
retired. I went back and taught part time for a year. The next year, I taught fifth and sixth period only, and then came in and coached track. And then I got completely out of teaching, and then I did just track for 2 years. Just came in the afternoon. Coach track, was the head coach there for one of those years, and so I was just kind of a part-time paid coach. And my youngest daughter graduated. We have 6 kids. My youngest graduated this past year, so I was like, okay, she's out of Hewitt. My wife was working at Payne Elementary. She's retired, so we all just said, you know what? We've been at Hewitt-Trussville since 1998. It's time to retire and move on. And like I said, I was retired 2 whole days. And then the Springville coach calls, said, "Hey, I hear you're retired. Do you want to come coach football?" So I
Oh
initially
my
said
gosh.
no. I did say no for about an hour. And then my
An
wife
hour.
was like, yes, it literally was about an hour, sitting out on the back porch with my wife drinking coffee. And I talked with Chris Metcalf, who's the head
Yeah.
coach, great guy. His father's the one that got me in coaching when I was at Samford. I had played football and baseball and got out of those due to some injuries. And I was
Yeah.
focusing on a pre med career. I was going to go into medicine. And Johnny Metcalf, his Chris's father called me and said, "Hey, can you come coach baseball? I need a B team assistant." So I did that one spring in the spring of 1990 while I was still a student at Sanford and fell in love with coaching. And then that next
Yeah.
fall, I wasn't playing at Sanford. I played during the Terry Bowden days at Sanford. The football coach said, "Hey, if you're going to coach baseball, I need you to come coach football." So fall of 1990, I start coaching football. And next thing
Wow.
pre-med, I'll become a teacher. So I still regret that decision every paycheck, but every paycheck, I regret that decision, but I wouldn't change anything. It's been a wonderful 31-year career working with young men and women coaching and getting to see them develop. And, it was kind of God's plan for me from the beginning. I kind of wanted to be a doctor, but I probably would have been a very rich, miserable doctor. And instead, I became a very poor, happy teacher and coach, and I wouldn't trade that. So I recommend anybody out there follow your heart, follow where the Lord opens the doors
Yes.
and leads. And I don't consider myself wealthy, but I consider myself very successful as a teacher and a coach. And again, just doing the math, somewhere around 3,000 students through the year and about the same
God.
number of athletes. I've gotten to be just a small portion of their life and their development. Most of them like me. You're never going to bat 1,000 in coaching. I learned at
Yeah.
Hewitt-Trussville years ago, do the 80-20 rule. If I get about 80% of the people to like me and be okay with what I'm doing, you're doing really well, because it doesn't matter if you're undefeated. 20% of the parents and kids aren't going to like you. They're going to want your job. That's just part of it. You have to shoot 80-20 in coaching and teaching.
There we go. We're
It's
back.
probably my connection. I just have a
You,
home connection here. I'm sorry.
you, you would. I don't know if you'd be surprised or not. I was going to say you'd be surprised at how often it happens. It happens a
Well,
lot. All I got to do is go in and like cut that little part. Easy.
okay,
See
good.
that?
Yeah,
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't know. You're talking about you were just going to do it on your phone, right? Well, that's what
yep,
I started doing. But as you keep doing it, you just pick up this stuff as you go. Like
yeah.
I'm not some fancy video editor. I used the free program that came on my HP laptop here. And
Yep.
so I don't know how to use Photoshop. But I could figure it out. And that's
Yeah,
everything is figure outable.
that's a great word, figure outable. It's a very highly
Yeah.
intellectual academic word, figure outable. And you were right. It works because we all know what you mean.
Exactly. So you were talking about the 80-20 rule, and yeah.
Yeah, just even in the classroom, I was one of those coaches that when I started teaching, I did not want to be the typical coach that is an absolutely awful teacher. I really prided myself in trying to be a good science teacher, biology and chemistry, and I started with biology and tried to teach advanced, students. So I was one of those very early in my career. I was not going to be the old coach that sat there and read the paper and did crossword puzzles all day while you did, worksheets. I have to teach her. God gave me the ability to talk and teach and be verbal and be out in front of people. And so even with that, you're just going to have people that's just life in general. You're going to have people that don't like the way you do things. They don't like the way you coach. They don't like the way you teach. But you just have to make you stronger and narrow that down. Because I remember when you're coaching baseball, I went 31-2, 31-2, and I had two parents that wanted me fired, and
Hey,
because their kid, yeah, their
that
kid didn't get to play, yeah,
sounds
and
like
we'd have been 33.
trustful.
Yes, it was, and we'd have been 33-0 if their kid would have played, and I'm like, your kid can't even catch a ground ball, and so I just kind of shrugged my shoulders on that one and said, you know what, 31-2, I'm going to be happy with that. Most of the parents
Yeah,
like me, and same thing in the classroom. I mean, my last year teaching, I had a parent call me because their kid got out of our program. We had our biomedical program.
yeah.
And halfway through the year, she was a fantastic student, loved her to death. She was super smart, going into nursing and teaching. And anyway, she got out of the program. So I called her. I said, "What are you doing?" And I brought her up and I said, "We need you in the program." Well, her dad got so upset that I called her out. And this was just me and her. It wasn't like I did it in front of the class.
Yeah.
So I just said,
Sure.
"I'm sorry, buddy." It's no different than at halftime. Your quarterback comes up to you at a ball game and says, "Hey, I don't want to play the second half. I'm out."
Yeah.
you should be a little upset about that. So that's just
Yeah.
teaching in general. Every teacher's got their stories, and every coach has their stories, and
Oh yeah.
that's just part of it.
That's man. Well, what were the man? I mean, hey, it sounds like trustful, and it sounds like to some degree not a lot has changed depending on the sport.
That's the
But
truth.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But
It is.
living in trustful, you know, I'm obviously going to hear it more here than if I was in Alabaster or Gulf Shores or
Oh yeah.
wherever. So
Oh yeah.
it happens everywhere. What was your best classroom moment in your career?
Oh, wow. I have not been asked that. I thought about when I was trying to write a book about,
Yeah.
crazy stories in the classroom because there are so many. Oh my Lord. Um, the first one that comes to mind, the first of many, is I was teaching an AP biology class one time at another school. And this is AP biology. These are seniors, very smart. And with the AP biology, you got to talk about everything from living stuff. And we were talking about ecosystems, and environmental kind of stuff. And we got to talking about rock layers and, where fossils were found in the rock layers or something like that. And I remember an AP biology student looked and she looked so puzzled. She goes, "Coach, I got a question." I said, "What?" She goes, "Okay, we were talking about rocks and fossil layers." I said, "Yeah." She goes, um, "Do mom and dad rocks make baby rocks?" Yes, she said that, and was and I felt so bad because I just burst out with a giggle right off
Oh
the
no,
bat, and then I realized she
she
was
was
serious.
serious.
It was a serious question, and then I felt bad because I giggled at that. And of course, the whole class bust out laughing, bless her heart.
Yeah.
And I was, and how do you
Man,
answer? Do mom and dad rocks make baby
oh,
rocks? I guess that's how
no,
she thought pebbles get there, and then they grow into boulders. I
oh
don't know what.
no,
That's just one, and I have many stories of some of the absolutely craziest thing kids have asked me, parents have asked me, principals and assistant principals, all kinds of stuff. That's just part of education. Every teacher has their top
yeah,
five of. That's the one that popped into my mind first. I have so
that's
many.
hilarious. I don't think I was ever in any of your classes.
I
I
don't
don't
think when did
think
you when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2006.
Yeah, yeah. I started at the old junior high doing eighth and ninth grade. I did that for 3 years, and then when they closed it down because of the
Yeah.
sinkholes, and
Yeah,
they moved.
I was one of the last classes there, like because I was
Okay.
there for eighth and then ninth, and with the whole eating in your classroom, they brought the trailer for
Oh
lunch and
yeah,
library. Yeah,
yeah. Well, when they closed it down and went to a traditional middle school, 6, 7, 8,
yeah.
and then traditional high school 9 through 12, I got sent to the middle school somehow. I still didn't understand that. I was coaching varsity football and baseball and teaching physical science and athletic training at the high school, and I got sent to the middle school. Oh, I was so upset because middle school. I would rather have a root
Yeah,
canal than teach middle school kids, and
yeah.
I just was not built for that 11, 12, 13-year-old mentality. I've been dealing with high school kids, and next thing you know, you're dealing with 12-year-old boys going through puberty, and
Oh,
it was awful. So I was trapped. I consider myself trapped in purgatory for 3 years at Hewitt Middle School, and so that might have been when you were at the high school because when the
yeah,
schools rolled down, the old high school.
yeah.
And that's now the middle school. So then I got back up to high school, I think in '08. I finally
Okay.
got back into the high school, and we were at where the middle school is now for a year and a half, and then the new building I moved into there. So I don't think I had you in class, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
some
don't
of your
think
other.
so. Yeah, I think I had. I'm trying to remember. Like, I think maybe at the well, I don't know. I think I probably had Coach Dobbs for a physical science class at some point.
Probably
I'm pretty sure,
everybody had
but
Coach Dobbs.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm trying to remember too. I only played football 1 year, and that would have been middle school, like seventh
Okay,
grade football or something like that.
yeah,
I
maybe
think the
so.
head I think the head coach's last name was maybe Mann.
Yes,
maybe.
Coach Mann. Yes, I was probably doing ninth grade in varsity at that time because it was me and Tim
Okay.
Reeves and Bo Kahn
Yeah.
were coaching, and Coach Mann and a couple of the guys had this because we had a seventh grade team, eighth grade team, and a ninth
Yeah.
grade team, and then you got into JV and all that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, those are the good old days.
No
I've enjoyed
kidding.
every year teaching and coaching. Some have been easier, some have been harder. When I was at Mortimer Jordan High
Sure.
School, that was my first year doing real varsity football and baseball as head coaches, and it was a long drive and actually did not pan out very well, but good memories. You learn a lot. The old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I got a
Sure.
lot stronger at Mortimer Jordan. So it helped when I moved to Hewitt-Trussville.
Yeah. Well, what about on the sports side? Like what at Hewitt-Trussville, what were some of the best moments for you as a coach?
Wow. Getting to coach football, I never actually coached basketball at Hewitt, but I got football, baseball, golf, lacrosse. I was the lacrosse coach for 5 years. We started the program
Yeah.
and worked it through till it just kind of ran its course. And then I've done cross country and track, indoor and outdoor track. So I've been blessed to do a lot of different sports. And of course, as a highlight as a coach would probably be the year we won indoor state, guys and girls. We swept indoor state in 2021. That was the first times I've won a state championship. And as a coach, I learned a long time ago that state championships are great and they're wonderful, and that's a great, look at me kind of moment. I learned a long
Sure.
time ago that I got into coaching for the kids. I want to bump into them 10 years down the road and, know that I help them turn into a good adult. It's kind of the
Yep.
John Wooden approach. John Wooden from
Yeah.
UCLA, the great basketball coach.
Hmm.
His great coach was, I'd love for you to win a national championship, but more importantly, I want to bump into you 10 years and see that you're a success in life.
Yeah.
That was my mentality. So championships are great. I'm competitive. I want those. We all want our rings. Um, you know, so when we finally won a state championship, that was kind of a good pinnacle. That was awesome, and it was a great group. We
Yeah.
weren't supposed to beat Hoover. Hoover's always very dominant in track.
Yeah.
They're just a monster. They're built for track. The way the it's set up for the events. Hoover is just really good and very prosperous there. So the fact that we beat them and kind of shocked them, that made it even better. So, as a coach, winning a state championship is great, but I'd still have to go back to the fact that when I bump into a kid at Walmart, and I can't even hardly
Yeah.
remember his name or her name. And she says, Coach, what's going on? And I say, where are you? What are you doing? Oh, I graduated from Alabama. Or, oh, I got into, electrical
Yep.
work, and I've got a wife and a family. We're doing great. And that's my reward as a coach and a teacher is when I see them down the road, and especially in the classroom, if I bump into a kid that says, hey, I went to nursing school and what you taught me really helped me. That's our reward, because it
Yeah.
definitely will never be financial. If you get into teaching and coaching for finances, you're not very bright. So you have to find your reward. So winning state championships are always great, but I would much rather bump into a kid and know that maybe I helped them just a little bit get through life and be successful. And,
Yeah.
hopefully teachers have that mentality. That's what we're doing it for, because it sure isn't for the paycheck.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you mentioned John Wooden because, like, you're a college football guy. I'm much more a basketball guy. Like,
Okay.
I've made not enemies, but like there's been have been times where you get in the Twitter sports discussions and whatever else, and I've said, because I am an Alabama fan, so
Yeah.
I love college football, but I have repeatedly said I would trade the next 5 football national championships for one in basketball, and people think I'm insane, and I'm like, well, I mean, got like 17 of them. Like
Hmm.
I've I've seen a lot of them. I haven't seen one in basketball. I'd give up
Yep.
5.
Yep.
I'd probably give up 10 if Nate Oates could have them win it this year. Like I would, but I always loved reading. It's been a long time since I've read any of it, but I've always loved reading about John Wooden, and
Hmm.
not just like winning however 10 or 11 in a row. I forget the number, but
Crazy.
that
Yeah.
and I've probably got it on the bookshelf in here somewhere, but I think every teacher, certainly every coach, but maybe every teacher too, should have, that pyramid of success, and you can
Exactly.
get
I've
it,
got it in my classroom.
and you can get it in that, like, almost pocket-sized version
Hmm.
so that you can just
Hmm.
slip it in, and carry it around with you.
Yeah.
I think every school, certainly every athletic department, should have copies of that everywhere, because that thing is, like you said, it's, yeah, you learn competitive greatness from it. You learn those kind of things, but those pillars, starting from the bottom,
Hmm.
building toward that competitive greatness, has a lot of attributes that aren't just on the field or on the court. It's a lot of life stuff, and
Hmm.
I love that pyramid of success.
Yeah, this shows you my personality. In my classroom, I had the wooden pyramid of success, and then right next to it was the Ron Swanson pyramid of success from Parks and Rec. So
Right.
that's me in a nutshell. John Wooden, Ron Swanson, and I had their pyramids right
Hey,
beside each other. So,
I can't.
but yeah, the John Wooden's just a great example of how to be a great coach.
Yeah, man. Now I'm like, I wish I would have had your classes now. Like now, I wouldn't have cut it in AP biology. I barely cut it in regular biology. I was much more. Uh, I mean, this is obvious now, but I was much more okay in the English and history side of things, not so much in the science and math side of
Well,
things.
everybody's got their gifts, and apparently, with you being in writing and doing what you do, that is totally fine. My father was an English major. He was a pastor and loved to write plays and author books. He's written like I think 13 or 14 books. So yeah, that's
Wow,
everybody's. God made you a certain way, man. He designed you to think a
that's right.
certain way and be talented in your areas and fields. And English was not mine. I will tell you that right there. English was. If I ever made a C, I didn't make a lot of bad grades, but if I ever made a C, it was going to be in English because I just didn't get it. I didn't get the literature. I'm left-handed, so I'm one of those guys that writes upside down. So through
Okay.
the 80s, 10% of your English grade was penmanship.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote like a doctor starting in like sixth grade. You can barely read anything. I'll write stuff now, and I have to hand it to my wife and say, "What did I write? What is this?" And she'll say, "Oh, you got a doctor's appointment next Tuesday at 9." I'm like, "Okay." So I still write awful, but yeah, English was not my cup of tea. I was a science math guy, so. But that's who we are. And again, same
Yeah.
thing with coaching. You got to find out the kid what they're good at doing and kind of what they have the talent to do and really harp on that, really help drive that
Yeah.
home with them. So that's why I'm always reminding my kids what's going on in the classroom. Even the boys at Springville, how you doing in math? How you doing in
Yeah.
science? So to keep up with them and help them get focused because again, some kids are great at everything. And then some kids can't find it till they're 20
Yeah.
years old, but you help them build the skills to get to that point. So again, it's just been a
Yeah.
fun journey to be in the classroom and doing that portion of it, and then coaching. There's a billion stories in coaching, and most of them pretty good. So, but yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, it's just been a great career, and this is the next chapter. Dixie Sports Plus. Like I said, it may last 5 shows and die, and we're gonna ride this mule till those legs fall off, and until I'm tired of doing it. And
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be fun, and we'll have a good, successful time. And like I said, we'll be down at Steel Hall Brewery, and we've already got some fans that are going to come and be on the side while we're filming. So it's kind of a live feel. You'll hear a little background noise, and we'll see where it goes. And I'm just excited to get off the couch and go do something. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
I hear that. Well, let's end it right there. Y'all? I'm on your Instagram page, but is it Dixie Sports Plus on all the things?
Yep.
Facebook, YouTube, all that?
Yep, all of them. Dixie Sports Plus, and again, we'll see how to get it all platformed tonight. We have our final practice, kind of at 5:30. We'll do a trial run. We'll probably go live for a few minutes. We've done 2 live events. One was sitting in Alan
Yeah.
Kinnemer's house, and they're over there pushing buttons, and all of a sudden, bing, it comes on, and they're like, "Hey, we're live." I'm like, "Oh," me and
Oh,
Alan are over there talking. We got our headsets on, and I'm like, "Oh, we're live." So you see the camera roll up. So very unprofessional, but that's okay. We're
authentic.
unprofessional at this anyway, so we're just gonna have a good
Exactly.
time and enjoy it.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing this, Coach.
No problem, man. I hope your millions of viewers and listeners will watch Dixie Sports Plus.
Millions. Shoot. I'm just hope I would settle for hundreds, but you know, it's like I said earlier. It's it takes time, and
It does.
you eventually get there if you stick to it, consistency and that kind of thing. You just have to have and it certainly sounds like you do too, is like, do I wish I had more viewers? Of course,
Yeah.
anybody doing this kind of stuff does, but it's not stopping me or hindering me because I love to do it. And
Yeah.
that's the important thing more than anything. I've had numerous people, you need more views on this, you need more views on that. And I'm like, well, I would love that, but I love the art of it first. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
really care about the end result as much. I care about the talking to people. Like, it keeps me connected, learning stuff from new people, reconnecting with people I used to know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, getting people's stories out there. And, if it gets a bunch more viewers, great. If it doesn't, I still got to talk to somebody that I wanted to talk to.
Yeah, and I mean you're doing it because you enjoy it, and man, I hope the best, and I hope the advertisers come pouring into your world. But if they don't, just keep doing it and have a good time.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's better to be happy doing what you enjoy to do, and you can't see my belly, but I've never missed a meal, and God has taken care of me financially, and I'll never be a wealthy man, but I can be successful and happy in what I've done.
Well said. Well
All
said. Well,
right, well,
good
man, I
luck. Good.
appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
for the plug. We'll take it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good luck with it. And I hope it goes great, and it'll be fun to watch for sure.
I hope so. I hope it is. That's the plan. Man, I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.